Hey girls. Sorry. I have been struggling hard to sleep at night for some reason. I lay in bed and just do this. My eyes are just wide awake and I cannot get to sleep. I lay there and stare at the ceiling. Hi, buddy. Um, and it was probably, I don't know, 1:30 or 2 before I dozed off last night. And then I was up at 6. My alarm went off at 6. I got up and I walked past the spare bedroom and saw the comfy bed in there. I love the bed that's in there. And I was like, I think I'm just going to go get in that for just a few minutes. So I'm going to skip the farmer's market this morning. I still have veggies from last week that I'm working on. And I just saw that bed and was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go back to bed for a few minutes. Of course, it was 8:45 before I woke up. But I think I'm going to switch my injection that I take to tonight instead of this morning to see if that helps me, because I'm so tired during the day that I can barely get through the day. And it's like my circadian rhythm, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the injection or it's just menopause. But it's like my circadian rhythm is just completely sideways. I last Sunday afternoon I slept from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, and then I woke up and I went to bed at 7:30. I'm just messed up. So we need to fix some stuff here. All right, June 29th. Unfaithful Jerusalem, Isaiah 1:21 through 31. See how Jerusalem, once so faithful, has become a prostitute. Once the home of justice and righteousness, she is now filled with murderers. Once like pure silver, you have become like worthless slag. Once so pure, you are now like watered down wine. Your leaders are rebels, all the companions of thieves. All of them love bribes and demand payoffs, and but refuse to defend the cause of orphans or fight for the right of widows. Bessie, I don't know what it is with you, thinking you got to get up here. Come on. Get up here if you want. Get up here. Come on, if that's what you want. Get up here and stop whining. You got to get your whole body. Come on. Come on. Get up here. Get up here. Come on. Come on. Come on. If you're coming, come on. I got to read. Get up here. Get up here. It's not really fit for a 50-pound dog. All right. Are we good? Are we adjusted? Okay. Sorry. Therefore, the Lord of heaven's armies, the mighty one of Israel, says, I will take refuge on the enemies and pay back my foes. I will raise my fist against you. I will melt you down and skim off your slag. I will remove all your impurities. Then I will give you good judges again and wise counselors like you used to have. Then Jerusalem will again be called the home of justice and the faithful city. Zion will be restored by justice. Those who repent will be revived by righteousness. But rebels and sinners will be completely destroyed, and those who desert the Lord will be consumed. You will be ashamed of your idol worship in groves and sacred oaks. You will blush because you worshipped in gardens dedicated to idols. You will be like a great tree withered with withered leaves, like a garden without water. The strongest among you will disappear like straw. Their evil deeds will be the spark that sets it on fire. They and their evil works will burn up together, and no one will be able to put out the fire. The Lord's future reign. Isaiah 2, 1 through 5. Where are you going? Oh my word! This is the vision that Isaiah, son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's house will be the highest of all, the most important place on earth. It will be raised above the other hills, and people from all over the world will stream there to worship. People from many nations will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, the house of Jacob's God, where he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the Lord's teachings will go out from Zion. His word will go out from Jerusalem. The Lord will mediate between nations and will settle international disputes. They will hammer their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will no longer fight against nation, nor train for war anymore. Come, descendants of Jacob, let us walk in the light of the Lord. A warning of judgment, Isaiah 2, 6-22. For the Lord has rejected his people, the descendants of Jacob, because they have filled their land with practices from the east and with sorcerers, as the Philistines do. They have made their alliances with pagans. Israel is full of silver and gold. There is no end to its treasures. Their land is full of war horses, and there is no end to its chariots. Their land is full of idols. The people worship things they have made with their own hands. So now they will be humbled, and all will be brought low. Do not forgive them. Crawl into the caves in the rocks. Hide in the dust from the terror of the Lord and the glory of his majesty. Human pride will be brought down, and human arrogance will be humbled. Only the Lord will be exalted. On that day of judgment, for the Lord of heaven's armies has a day of reckoning. He will punish the proud and mighty, and will bring down everything that is exalted. He will cut down the tall cedars of Lebanon and all the mighty oaks of Bashan. He will level all the high mountains and all the lofty hills. He will break down every high tower and every fortified wall. He will destroy all the great trading ships and every magnificent vessel. Human pride will be humbled, and human arrogance will be brought down. Only the Lord will be exalted on that day of judgment. Idols will completely disappear. When the Lord rises to shake the earth, his enemies will crawl into holes in the ground. They will hide in caves in the rocks from the terror of the Lord and the glory of his majesty. On that day of judgment, they will abandon the gold and silver idols they made for themselves to worship. They will leave their gods to rodents and bats. They will crawl away into caverns and hide among the jagged rocks in the cliffs. They will try to escape the terror of the Lord and the glory of his majesty as he rises to shake the earth. Don't put your trust in mere humans. They are as frail as breath. What good are they? Judgment against Judah. Isaiah 3, 1-15. The Lord of heaven's armies, will take away from Jerusalem and Judah everything they depend on, every bit of bread, every drop of water, all their heroes and soldiers, judges and prophets, fortune tellers and elders, army officers and high officials, advisors, skilled sorcerers and astrologers. I will make boys their leaders and toddlers their rulers. People will oppress each other, man against man, neighbor against neighbor. Young people will insult their elders, and vulgar people will sneer at the honorable. In those days, a man will say to his brother, since you have a coat, you be our leader. Take charge of this heap of ruins. But he will reply, no, I can't help. I don't have any extra food or clothes. Don't put me in charge. For Jerusalem will stumble, and Judah will fall, because they speak out against the Lord and refuse to obey him. They provoke him to his face. The very look on their faces gives them away. They display their sin like the people of Sodom and don't even try to hide it. They are doomed. They have brought destruction upon themselves. Tell the godly that all will be well for them. They will enjoy the rich reward they have earned, but the wicked are doomed, for they will get exactly what they deserve. Childish leaders oppress my people, and women rule over them. O my people, your leaders mislead you. They send you down the wrong road. The Lord takes his place in court and presents his case against his people. The Lord comes forward to pronounce judgment on the elders and rulers of his people. You have ruined Israel, my vineyard. Your houses are filled with stolen things from the poor. How dare you crush my people, grinding the faces of the poor into the dust, demands the Lord of heaven's armies. A warning for Jerusalem's women, Isaiah 3:16-4:1. The Lord says, beautiful Zion is haughty, craning her elegant neck, flirting with her eyes, walking with dainty steps, tinkling her ankle bracelets. So the Lord will send scabs on her head. The Lord will make beautiful Zion bald. On the day of judgment, the Lord will strip away everything that makes her beautiful. Ornaments, headbands, crescent necklaces, earrings, bracelets and veils, scarves, ankle bracelets, sashes, perfumes, charms, rings, jewels, party clothes, gowns, capes, and purses, mirror, fine linen garments, head ornaments, and shawls. Instead of smelling like sweet perfume, she will stink. She will wear a rope for a sash, and her elegant hair will fall out. She will wear a rough burlap instead of rich robes. Shame will replace her beauty. The men of the city will be killed with the sword, and her warriors will die in battle. The gates of Zion will weep and mourn. The city will be like a ravaged woman huddled on the ground. In that day, so few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids. A promise of restoration, Isaiah 4 2 through 6. But in that day, the branch of the Lord will be beautiful and glorious. The fruit of the land will be the pride and glory of all who survive in Israel. All who remain in Zion will be a holy people. Those who survive the destruction of Jerusalem are recorded among the living. The Lord will wash the filth from beautiful Zion and cleanse Jerusalem of its bloodstains with the hot breath of fiery judgment. Then the Lord will provide shade for Mount Zion and all who assemble there. He will provide a canopy of cloud during the day and smoke and flaming fire at night, covering the glorious land. It will be a shelter from daytime heat and a hiding place from storms and rain. A song about the Lord's vineyards, Isaiah 5 1 through 7. Now I will sing for the one I love, a song about his vineyard. My beloved has a vineyard on a rich and fertile hill. He plowed the land, cleared its stones, and planted it with best vines. In the middle, he built a watchtower and carved a winepress in the nearby rocks. Then he waited for a harvest of sweet bitter grapes, but the grapes that grew were bitter. Now, you people of Jerusalem and Judah, you will judge between me and my vineyard. What more could I have done for my vineyard that I have not already done? When I expected sweet grapes, ow, Bessie. Why did my vineyard give me bitter grapes? Now, let me tell you what I will do to my. Bessie. Now, let me tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will tear down its hedges and let it be destroyed. I will break down its walls and let its animals trample it. I will make it a wild place where the vines are not pruned and the ground is not hoed, a place overgrown with briars and thorns. I will command the clouds to drop no rain on it. The nation of Israel is a vineyard of the Lord of heaven's armies. The people of Judah are his pleasant garden. He expected a crop of justice, but instead he found oppression. He expected to find righteousness, but instead he heard cries of violence. Judah's guilt and judgment, Isaiah 5, 8 through 30. What sorrow for you who buy up house after house and field after field, until everyone is evicted and you live alone in the land. But I have heard the Lord of heaven's armies swear a solemn oath. Many houses will stand deserted, even beautiful mansions will be empty. 10 acres of vineyard will not produce even 6 gallons of wine. 10 baskets of seed will yield only 1 basket of grain. What sorrow for those who get up early in the morning, looking for a drink of alcohol, and spend long evenings drinking wine, to make themselves flaming drunk. They furnish wine and lovely music at their grand parties, lyre and harp, tambourine and flute, but they never think about the Lord or notice what he is doing. So my people will go into exile far away, because they do not know me. Those who are great and honored will starve, and the people will die of thirst. The grave is licking its lips in anticipation, opening its mouth wide. The great and the lowly, and all the drunken mobs will be swallowed up. Humanity will be destroyed and the people brought down. Even the arrogant will lower their eyes in humiliation, but the Lord of heaven's armies will be exalted by his justice. The holiness of God will be displayed by his righteousness. In that day, lambs will find good pastures, and fattened sheep and goats will feed among the ruins. What sorrow for those who drag their sins behind them, with ropes made of lies, who drag wickedness behind them like a cart. They even mock God and say, "Hurry up and do something. We want to see what you can do. Let the Holy One of Israel carry out his plan, for we want to know what it is." What sorrow for those who say that evil is good and good is evil, the dark is light and the light is dark, that bitter is sweet and sweet is bitter. What sorrow for those who are wise in their own eyes and think themselves so clever. What sorrow for those who are heroes at drinking wine and boast about all the alcohol they can hold. They take bribes to let the wicked go free, and they punish the innocent. Therefore, just as fire licks up stubble and dry grass shrivels in the flame, so their roots will rot and their flowers wither. For they have rejected the law of the Lord of heaven's armies. They have despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. That is why the Lord's anger burns against his people, and why he has raised his fist to crush them. The mountains tremble, and the corpses of his people litter the streets like garbage. But even then, the Lord's anger is not satisfied. His fist is still poised to strike. He will send a signal to distant nations far away, and whistle to those at the ends of the earth. They will come racing towards Jerusalem. They will not get tired or stumble. They will not stop for rest or sleep. Not a belt will be loose, not a sandal strap broken. Their arrows will be sharp, and their bows ready for battle. Sparks will fly from their horses' hooves, and the wheels of their chariots will spin like a whirlwind. They will roar like lions, like the strongest of lions. Growling, they will pounce on their victims and carry them off, and no one will be there to rescue them. They will roar over their victims on that day of destruction, like the roaring of the sea. If someone looks across the land, only darkness and distress will be seen. Even the light will be darkened by clouds. Scary stuff, if you ask me. All right, hold on. I gotta climb over my chair here because the dog made me knock over my book. Whew. I'm out of breath from reading. All right, we are on the section titled Rest for the Land, page 99. If I asked you what life was like in March 2019, you may not be able to remember, but I assume most of us will always be able to recall what life was like in March of 2020, and April of 2020, and the whole summer of 2020, which is the season I currently am writing in. A pandemic has hit not only the United States, but the entire world. The days are a roller coaster of fear and confusion, gratitude and grace. Almost everyone I know knows someone who has gotten sick or has died. Almost everyone I know is also trying to remember, or is trying to somehow make the most of each day and find the silver lining in this debilitating and confusing time. But something happened to the earth during the pandemic. They say the land began to heal. Some of the harmful effects of globalization were reversing with just a few months of humans traveling less. I didn't know ocean noise, the sound made by human activities that can interfere with or obscure the ability of marine animals to hear natural sounds in the ocean, was a problem until I found out recently that the early months of the pandemic has caused its reversal as well to some degree. The whales and dolphins and various sea creatures are now more at peace because the huge boats and cruise ships are docked for the time being. People around the world are saying birds seem louder, which I can attest to myself, but it's only because our noise pollution is down significantly. The earth will go back to normal, meaning more damaged, once we begin traveling and moving again. This has caused me to wonder what kind of healing, what kind of radical change is possible if we rest our bodies in the same way, if we put a hard stop on the noise, the constant motion, the bustle, and the busyness. During those first months of the pandemic, I noticed my body groaning more and healing at the same time. I noticed some rest in my land. I've never been more aware of what's been happening in my flesh without so much to distract me. At first, I noticed my anxiety, inhabiting so many different functions in my body. The fear was escaping my pores through sweat, my hands through a slight tremor, my face through the effects of hormones. I tried not to be angry, just to notice the pain coming to the surface. I noticed how much sorer I was as my movement varied and shifted. I wasn't going from place to place any longer. I stayed at home and moved in spurts. Long walks in the morning, sitting or only moving so much during the day, exercising in the afternoon, and one more long walk with the kids before bed. That's her small amount of movement. That's more movement than I do now, and I feel like I move. As the initial panic wore off, I began sleeping more than I have in 15 years. I noticed what it was like when I didn't yawn through the afternoon or need more than 1 or 2 cups of coffee. My husband's ongoing years-long battle with tension, neck pain, all but disappeared after a few weeks of being home. As the hurry and striving ceased, because there was no other option, many of the physiological symptoms we had learned to live with disappeared. In some ways, the land was getting rest. In other ways, the land and our collective bodies have experienced trauma and stress that's almost indescribable. 5 months into the pandemic hitting the US, despite being incredibly cautious for months, my entire family contracted COVID-19. The experience of what happened in my body, even beyond the symptoms of the virus, was wild. I will never forget it as long as I live. I will never forget the nights I had honest and humble conversations with God as I struggled to get one of my kids' temperatures down. As a mother, I felt fragile, hopeful, and still somewhat helpless, more tangibly aware of my need for God and His healing than I had in the past. I'll never forget filling my lungs with air over and over again, measuring just how well I could breathe with gratitude and fear combined in each inhale. I'll never forget how incredibly aware I was of my capacity to speak life over my own body and the bodies of my loved ones, while also feeling so distinctly submitted to the mercy and kindness of God. When it was all said and done, our symptoms were mild and we all recovered completely and quickly. But even the mildness of our experience pushed me to trust God in entirely new ways. At the end of the day, I was left grateful for the body He'd given me, but so much more grateful for His grace and the promise of eternity than I'd ever been. What's wild is that I'd experienced new levels of rest when I wasn't sick and new levels of rest when I was. The healing, the hope of being off the hook from striving and holding all things together is available to us when the setting is seemingly right and when it's not. Your body gets to be at rest whether you are the ideal size and level of wellness or not. God gives rest to those He loves, not to those who have earned it as a reward. Many of us may want to read this book and others like it because we want our bodies to be better. We know there is a connection between our mind, our hearts, and our bodies. And somewhere deep in our souls, we hope that if we think or feel or know the right things, our bodies will begin to improve. This is where I tell you vulnerably that the enemy of my own soul has tempted me with the same provocation. Maybe if you write this book, you'll finally get your junk together and get your body right. But I perceive that more than we need our bodies to get better, we need to rest in the unshakable truth that they were made good. And part of agreeing with that eternal truth is learning to rest in the land and allowing it to get some rest. Just as our land experienced some rest during the pandemic when we stopped provoking it with copious travel, I perceive that many of us won't experience true rest until we stop provoking our bodies with strategies and tactics aimed at making it better. Until we come home to our bodies, appreciating the way they were made good by God, we will continue to misunderstand our responsibility to our bodies. We'll provoke our bodies. What if we completely removed the performative if-then statements we make about our bodies? What if we made a collective decision that we would only treat our bodies in accordance with what God has said about them? What if we decided that we couldn't beat the curse of being human for now, but we can look forward to the moment when we experience the true form we were meant to take in heaven? What if we lived and treated our bodies not in accordance with earning the approval of man in mind, but with eternity in mind? What if we looked at our flesh and said, "You owe me nothing, but I will treat you with honor and kindness because you were made by God and called good"? Ouch. All right. I got all choked up there a little bit. Karen, I love that you do a Zoom Bible study with your cousins. How cool is that? We are praying for you this morning, Melissa, so much. Yes, the dog just wanted to smell my armpits. That's probably what it was. It's crazy that as she was finding peace during that time, I was finding panic and anxiety, which led to awakening of my celiac disease, which I had been at peace during that time. Perhaps I wouldn't have woken up my disease. Interesting. That's interesting, Meredith. Yeah, for sure. For sure, Shirley. There was no rest for anybody working in the medical field at all. Yeah, that's interesting. The perspective, depending on who you were and what your job was and what you had to do for me, I mean, we worked really hard. We had so much work that came about during that time because I worked in medical, but in the IT side of it, but I was able to be home, and that changed so much about my life. That whole working from home changed a whole lot in good ways, very good way. I think it changed a whole lot about our country in good ways too, with the companies seeing the benefit of employees working at home and how for those that were able to work at home, it brought more work-life balance, being able to be at work at home, even though you think it would be the opposite. It brought work-life balance. So anyway, all right, my friends, let's go ahead and end in prayer this morning. God, our Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the word this morning and the reminder of what is to come, and that we need not to fear, but that in the end of this whole story of the world, you win. That it's just a lot. There's so much big that's coming, and we can see it starting to play out before our eyes. And I just thank you. I thank you for the promises, and I thank you that we can know our assurance we have in you. God, I thank you for each woman here. I lift each one of them up to you. There's heavy, heavy weights on the hearts of many. I pray for Melissa today, as she's struggling and has very difficult things happening in her family, God. And I just cover her and her whole family and her son in prayer today. I just pray for some peace to rest on her. I pray for some answers, for some comfort, for some strength, for just all the difficulty that they are going through today. And I just pray that she feels the support of the women around her, loving her and encouraging her and supporting her and praying for her. God, I pray as we go through our day that you will just help us to keep our eyes focused on you. Remind us that we are to honor our bodies, not to make them better or because they're a project that has to be good while we're here on earth, but that they're already good, and that we should treat them like the loved creations that they are, preparing our bodies for eternity and honoring what you would want us to do with our bodies. I pray that you will help us to love others the way you want us to love others today. In your precious name I pray. Amen. All right, my friend. Yeah, I bet, Faith. I bet. All right, my friends, I love you so much. Thanks for joining me. I have about 470,000 videos to record today. I haven't recorded anything yet for the upcoming month. I like to wait till right before. I say that. I don't really like to wait till right before. I just usually do. And I have hundreds of new women joining group coaching this month. So I have a lot to prepare to make it just the best month ever. So I hope you're joining us. If not, well, you're going to miss out. You can miss out on the joy that's coming in July. All right. I love you, ladies. I hope you have a great Saturday. I'll see you back. Somebody said they wanted to see my outfit. It's just a black shirt and black pants. It's like all black. I'm very sullen looking this morning. I don't know. I felt lacy. It's just a black shirt and black pants. And it's got a beautiful speckled pattern on it. It's a trendy new look. It's called Golden Retriever. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a beautiful look. It's got motion to it. You can move it around, this speckled look. Yes. We love the Golden Retriever look here in this house. All right. I love you, girls. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you back tomorrow for more devotions.